Hi, friends. It's been exactly 1 week since the election of 2024 for President of the United States. We have all seen messages flying around the internet, memes, sometimes joyful, proud, sometimes disoriented, disillusioned, sometimes angry. I am not trying to add to the anger. What I'm trying to do here is to articulate a message that I think is incredibly important. I learned once in a comparative religion course in college that there is a Native American indigenous philosophy which suggests that for every action that we take, we should consider how our great-grandparents and our grandparents and our parents would think about this decision. Also how our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren would think about this decision. Now, motivated by that philosophy, I would like to say something here. And this is coming from my heart. And I think that's incredibly important. This is not a time for anger. This is a time for rolling up the sleeves in defense of those who are most vulnerable at this time. The majority of Americans, slight majority, who did vote for Donald Trump in the 2024 election, you are not the enemy. You are not the other. Everyone comes with their own reasons, are formed and shaped by their own life experiences. The narrative that was offered by President Trump, returning President Trump, was one that appealed to grievances of the average American and suggested that resources that were rightfully theirs, that should be devoted to them, were being devoted to Ukraine, to other foreign wars, to illegal immigrants, to transgender operations. Okay. We know that this is propaganda in many ways, which is used by both sides. Perhaps the other side, who is saying that democracy is at stake and that a fascist is going to be entering the office, perhaps they are equally to blame. This is not to demonize those who would vote for Donald Trump. Again, everyone comes with their own reasons. And the point is this. For most people who came to their logical decision, they were guided by something. Maybe it's their 401k. Maybe it is a perceived culture wars where the rights of traditional Americans, quote unquote, are being threatened, and a wish to return to a valorized time gone by. What I am here to talk about in the next 2 minutes is this: the consequences of this. And I'm going to reach out, please, to Democrats, to Republicans, to independents, to suggest that there are significant consequences to this. Forget about the Republican Party. There are great Republicans. Forget about Donald Trump. The issue here is the consequences of electing someone like this, where we bracket issues of morality and the fact that there is an emboldening of those on the far, far right. And I'm asking those, all decent Americans, to please stand up and to say enough is enough, to draw a line in the sand and say enough is enough. In the last week, the first shot across the bow was that my students, I teach college in Indianapolis, Indiana, my students received text messages and emails, students of color, saying that they are ordered to report to cotton plantations with a specific date and time, and failure to comply would have severe consequences. Last night, exactly 1 week since the election, we have masked Nazis waving Nazi flags outside the American Legion in Michigan and using anti-Semitic and racist slurs. Also, in the last week, we have seen a spike, a documented spike in online misogyny. Here's two quotes from the far right podcaster Andrew Tate, who tweeted, "Women, you no longer have rights." Moving on, Nick Fuentes, Donald Trump's dinner date a year or two ago, and the far right nationalist tweeted, "Your body, my choice forever." We have seen spikes in online misogyny calling for rape squads and rapes. In the 24 hours after the election, we saw a 4,600% increase in online calls for your body, my choice, and get back in the kitchen, directed towards women. The point is this: we all agree that this is wrong, unless you are one of these absolute insane people on the right. And there are some extremes on the left, absolutely, positively. But we can all agree as Americans, please, to come together and not let this perceived emboldening of far-right, racist, sexist, anti-immigrant, xenophobic language to be used in our culture, in our society, appealing to the basest, ugliest, most vulgar of our impulses. We are better than this. There's a poem that many of us have probably read called First Came the Socialists, from the time of the World War II, roughly. To paraphrase it, it is to our own times. First they come for the Jewish population, and I did not speak. Then they came for the women, and I did not speak. I did not raise my voice. Then they came for African Americans and immigrants and the transgender community, and I did not raise my voice. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Please, everyone, regardless of your political affiliation, with no anger and no judgment intended, can we agree, please, to draw a line in the sand and say that America is better than this? We need to work forward together to find common ground, even with those with whom we disagree. But it has to begin there. America is better than this. The world is watching. And we must be driven by love and not hate. And we cannot allow this to be part of the American fabric and the American history. It's our story. Let's guide it accordingly.